Hey, Taylor with West Physiotherapy. I'm talking about elbow pain today. So this may be helpful for you if you work at a desk and you've started noticing some elbow pain. I see this a lot in my crafty people who like to knit, people who are handy and they work like with machines or equipment, so they're doing maybe like twisting, or they take on a project at home where they're doing some hammering or screwing or that kind of thing. And then obviously sometimes racket sports. But I'll tell you a little something about the elbow and where I think this starts to become a really nagging problem for people, that they feel like it just stays with them for months and months and months, and sometimes even in spite of getting some, like, trying to do something for it. So this area, a lot of time, if you Google like outside of the elbow pain, you'll come up with lateral epicondylitis. You may find it called tennis elbow, because of the way that the forces when you're playing tennis come up through the elbow, kind of got nicknamed that. But you can get pain out here from a lot of different repetitive tasks, and also sometimes things that are, it doesn't seem like a trauma to the elbow, but they shift the way that the elbow is working, and then you start noticing that the elbow hurts with your repetitive tasks. So you used to be able to knit all the time, and now it kind of hurts ever since you unscrewed a really tight pickle jar, or you kind of okay doing work at the desk, but you shifted your mouse around, and now it's like always this nagging pain here. And I see this pain keeping people from like being able to lift weights, work out in the gym, and that's a real bummer. And I'll tell you one story. I had a patient that I saw. She had developed the elbow pain, tried some PT, wasn't really helping. She was like, forget this. Tried resting, felt better when she rested, then came back with activity, tried some acupuncture, even had a cortisone injection, which felt better, but eventually the pain came back. And it took, months and months before we finally connected to work together. She was very skeptical. And what she needed was someone to not just treat the elbow or the epicondyle, but to figure out what was going on with the elbow in the whole body. So anytime we have a problem in the periphery or the outer edges of our body, we have to remember that the arm is attached to the shoulder, which is attached to the neck, which is attached to the trunk and the rib cage. So anything all along this, which is then attached to the pelvis and on, but at least we've got, whoever is helping you has got to be taking in this whole upper quadrant when we're trying to solve, especially pain that has been persisting for weeks to months. Because there can be things that affect the elbow right at the joint that need specific intervention. And there can also be tension on the nerves that come down through here, up at the shoulder. There can be tension in through the neck. We can get referred pain, especially from C6, cervical spine 6, up in the neck, coming down into here. And also the way that the shoulder is able to stabilize on the trunk itself, on the rib cage. If we don't have good scapular positioning and strength and stability, then we may start feeling a problem out here. Even if there's not that big of a problem out here, this could be where we feel it. So we were able to get her back to weightlifting and having lots of fun. And I'll tell you another quick story. Someone else started having pain with knitting, but it was after doing a really strong twisting motion. Also had been knitting a lot, also had been having more forward posture, just like what happens at our desks, and also had an old shoulder injury and instability. So in order to fully resolve that problem, we had to go and address all of those areas. The forward head position with strength and mobility here and opening up the neural foramen. Improving the alignment of the glenohumeral joint so that glenohumeral, the shoulder could sit further back. It had done some like popping out forward, so we had to help that sit back and be more stable with some exercises, and then come down to where some things had been shifted from that really strong torque that had happened around her elbow. So these are just some thoughts to kind of be thinking about, because if you, why maybe something isn't getting better. I think it's awesome that we have so much information available to us. We can go, we can look on Google, we can find stretches, we can find the name of things, we can find out what kind of itis it is. And a lot of times, if we have a very simple problem, then those things will help solve the problem for us. And that's awesome to not have to need any assistance with that. But especially with this kind of outside of the elbow pain, I see a lot. It just kind of goes on and it goes on and people rest and it comes back. And I want you to have some ideas about why it might seem like it came up out of nowhere and the problem is just right here. But you've got to think about this, it's in the setting of something larger that may have been brewing and you weren't really noticing it, and then it pops up. And so having someone be able to kind of come back through and tease out where really are all the problems that are creating this pain can be really helpful. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you have elbow pain or you notice this, I want you to type nag, just because I think it's kind of funny. Nag or nagging down there, and because I'd love to hear about what's going on. All right, thanks so much. Happy Wednesday.